Good morning, boys and girls. It's Miss McKay. I am feeling kind of sad this morning because I only have a couple more Sundays with you guys. I have loved our time together and I will always be here for you and love you. As we look at our text this morning, you guys remember that we read from something called the lectionary. And a long time ago, a bunch of really smart people got together and they compiled Bible verses into this thing that we call the lectionary. Now, the lectionary has, for every Sunday of the year, a text from the Old Testament, the Psalms, the Gospels, and the New Testament. So that means that every Sunday when we go to teach and preach, we have different options that we can use. So this Sunday, I chose our text from Genesis. Remember that this is the time in the church calendar that's called ordinary time, which is when we usually learn the teachings of Jesus, which is what we've been doing. But this week, I thought we would switch it up and go back to the Old Testament, to Genesis, and learn a story about Jacob. Now, do you remember who Jacob was? Jacob is Abraham's son. And God made a few different promises, or there's a fancy word for that called covenant. God made a few different covenants with God's children, and Abraham got a covenant with God too. Do you remember what that was? God said to Abraham, I'll make your descendants like the stars in the sky, like the sand in the sea. There's going to be so many people that come from you, and I'm going to make a great nation of people that love me and follow me because of your family tree. Isn't that cool? So that's what God said to Abraham. And Abraham was really old, and he didn't have any kids. And finally, he and his wife Sarah had a son named Jacob. Now, the story this morning is about Jacob, and God kind of makes another promise to Jacob, just like he did to Jacob's dad, Abraham. So, this is what the text says. Jacob left Beersheba and went down toward Haran. He came to a certain place and laid there for the night, because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of that place, he put it under his head and laid down. Then he dreamed that there was a ladder set on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And the Lord stood beside him and said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie will give to you and your offspring will be like the dust of the earth. And you will spread about to the west and the east, to the north and the south, and the families of the earth shall be blessed in you and in your offspring. Know that I am with you and keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. And then Jacob woke up from his sleep, and he said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! There is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. So Jacob rose early in the morning, and he took the stone that he had put under his head to sleep, and he set it up for a pillar, and poured oil on the top of it, and he called that place Bethel. But the name of the city was Luz at the first. The word of the Lord. So that's our text today, and I'm going to kind of walk you through it if you didn't catch any of it. So Jacob is traveling, and he stops to rest in a city that was called Luz. And he has a dream, and the dream is that the Lord is going to give him a bunch of descendants, a bunch of kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. And through all those, the whole world's going to be blessed. And that's the promise that God made to Jacob. So when Israelites used to have a big milestone or a big moment in their relationship with God, they would make this thing called an Ebenezer. Have you ever heard that word? It's in a couple hymns. An Ebenezer means a physical marking that's a reminder of the faithfulness of God in our lives. So the stone that he had used for a pillow, he turned into an Ebenezer to remind him that God said, I will be faithful to you, and I will give you many children, and your children will bless the world." And because God said that to him, Jacob renamed the city from Luz to Bethel. Now, you guys remember that I'm in school to learn things about the Bible? Well, guess what? I learned Hebrew, so I know what Bethel means in Hebrew. Can you take a guess? It means the house of God. So he said that this place is the place of the house of God, because in this house of God, there's a big family. And guess what? We belong to that family. And this group of people that we belong to, called Christians, has been blessing people throughout centuries, throughout hundreds and hundreds of years. Isn't that a wonderful thing, to belong to the family and the house of God, and to be involved in blessing other people, in blessing the whole world? How wonderful is that? I want you to remember that if you ever feel alone, if you ever feel like you're the only one, there's a whole family of God all over the world and all throughout time that you belong to. You are never alone because you belong to the house of God. Isn't that good news? I am so excited that we got to talk about that text together today, and hopefully I can see you in person soon. I love you and I miss you, and I hope you're being helpful at home, and I'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye, guys.